Welcome, everyone. I am really pleased to be here with you all today and really grateful for your time. Um, Excited to share some really neat things with you all. I've really been looking forward to this webinar. So, Joel, if you want to go to the next slide. So, a few housekeeping items. There we go. Yeah, so this demo is being recorded. As I mentioned in my emails, as soon as we're done today, I'll grab a link to that recording and send it out to you all. So if you'd like to circulate it with your compatriots and peers and friends at work, you're free to do so. If you have questions, Zoom webinars are a little bit different from a typical Zoom meeting, but there is a Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen. So if you look down below, you'll see a few different icons. Keep an eye out for Q&A. I'll be watching that closely over the course of the webinar and fielding those questions as they come in. Some questions we'll save towards the end. And if we don't get to your because I expect we'll have a lot of questions, we will respond to all of those questions via email. My name is Paul Smith. I'm the head of marketing over here at Kuali. With me is Joel Delin, who is our CEO and one of the original founders of Kuali back in 2014, as well as Richard Jensen. He is leading the team that built the Focal product. So he'll be providing the demo for us today. So that's who we are. And with that, Joel, I think I'm going to hand things off to you.
Awesome. Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for coming to our webinar. We want to talk about software for the future of higher education, by higher ed and for higher ed. So Kuali is a company that was given birth out of the university and college community. In 2004, we were a foundation of universities and colleges that were building our own software. In 2014, that organization had some great success over a 10-year period and decided to take it to the next level. So they invested in and created a company. The company came in 2014, and many of the people came from colleges and universities, joined the company in order to continue with our higher ed ethos, but also take it to the next level so that we could have professional designers, professional developers, sales and marketing, customer success, and so forth. And then now in 2024, we continue to move forward with new software, with new exciting software. We're really, really excited to announce the merger of Kuali with Conclusive Systems. So Conclusive Systems has been around for, Richard, over 20 years. Is that right?
25. We founded it in 2002. So
In 2002. Also came out of higher ed, came from individuals from colleges and universities that were tired of getting abused by degree audit systems and student information systems. So if you look at the different products that we have available, we have research administration products for grants and grant management. We have continuity planning products. We have a financials product where you can track your financials, your general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and so forth. And we also have a bunch of products for the provost and for the registrar. So this is everything from curriculum management and catalog to degree audit, and what we're going to be talking about today. So this is an announcement that we really haven't talked about publicly, but we're doing this initial announcement for our friends in the anthology community. And there's some obvious reasons why that's particularly timely for you. And then finally, we have a product called Kuali Build. And Kuali Build is a no-code forms and workflow tool that lets you create whatever forms and workflows you want. But today, we're focused on Focal, our student information system. These are some of our software pillars. I won't spend a lot of time, but we're a modern software company. We're easy to use. We do continuous delivery where we're creating new features all the time. We have a great mobile experience that is very, very accessible, and that's particularly timely with universities and colleges right now. We have artificial intelligence baked into our products, and we have a zero bug policy. And that doesn't mean we have zero bugs. It means we have zero bugs that we know about. So when we find a bug, we fix the bug. We don't put it into a backlog that waits and grows to 1,000 over time. That's a little bit about Kuali software. And then we're very focused on, we understand how important your data is. So we're focused on security and compliance. We have a HECVAT that you can check out anytime you want. We are FERPA compliant. We'll be FERPA compliant with you. That's something that we do together for FERPA compliance. And then SOC 2 We're very focused on SOC 2 compliance. We go through an annual audit of our products, the Focal. We just did this merger, so the Focal product right now, we're doing our audit right now for the Focal product. But security and compliance is in our DNA. All right, let's talk quickly about Kuali Focal, and then we want to show it to you. We recognize that there is an administrative burden to managing all of the data that you need to manage for your curriculum and for your students. We also recognize that there are inaccurate, ineffective institutional reports that come out of these systems because our curriculum gets out of sync with our financial aid data, which gets out of sync with our student data. So often we have ineffective and inaccurate reports for institutional reporting. And there are inaccuracies in financial aid that folks experience, and that makes for a very bad experience often for students. So sometimes we hear from our customers all the time that we have diminished student outcomes, where students will have to retake courses, or if they don't understand if they need to change their major, what they should change it to and how long it will take them to graduate. Sometimes they're paying for classes that they end up not needing, and so they're getting a double whammy because they're spending all the time, but they're also not getting the course that they need, and they're not getting reimbursed necessarily for financial aid. So many of these student outcomes can be solved with a fantastic student information system, and that's what Focal is. So I'm going to turn the time over to Richard, who's going to tell you more about Focal.
Yeah, so Focal, and by the way, thank you all so much for attending. We really appreciate your time and look forward to showing you something that we think you're going to find to be revolutionary in the SIS market. So we really designed Focal out of our degree audit system. So we were doing degree audit from our inception. I have a PhD in analytic philosophy. I used to teach at the university level. I was an academic advisor for years. I found the existing systems to be a hindrance to advising, not a help. And so got 4 of my best logic students together and said, let's see if we can't design a better way to represent degree requirements, a completely new approach to degree auditing, the audit engine, and so forth. What we came up with turned out to be really revolutionary, and we've been selling it like hotcakes over the last 24 years. Ultimately, one of our anthology schools came to us and said, would you please produce a new SIS? We love working with you as a vendor, but we are not finding anything out there. We have to get off of Anthology, and we don't find anything out there that really jazzes us. So they kind of talked us into it. We really wanted to stay in the degree audit lane, but they ended up talking us into a partnership arrangement, pilot project. And we spent about 2 years developing Focal in concert with them as design partners. They were absolutely fantastic, incredibly patient with us, endless questions back and forth. Why are you doing this process this way? Well, because this is how we do it in this system, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we ended up producing a completely, you hear the word revolutionary bandied about way too much, but I think you'll see that our system really is revolutionary. Unlike Anthology in particular, and most systems, degree audit is the heart of the student information system. Everything about the way the student information system works revolves around the degree audit. Now, I want to make a quick contrast there, because you could say, well, so does Anthologies, because everything in Anthology revolves around the idea of enrollments and blah, blah, blah. But I think you realize the weaknesses of that particular approach, and the fundamental problem is that Anthology tightly couples student registrations with enrollments. And I can't see any of you, but I know many of you are nodding right now going, yeah, it's a big problem. We completely decouple student registrations from enrollments in a very slick way that you're going to see. And the net effect of it is that it enables students to trivially easy change between programs and entire degree pathways and their courses, just because of our audit engine, which is an AI-based engine. It finds the optimal path for them and the optimal distribution of courses. The entire system, as you're going to see, revolves around the idea of custom dashboards and widgets. So they are role-based, which means we make every single dashboard work the way a particular user role needs it to work. So it's a very streamlined interface where your entire job can be done on one dashboard. Students' entire experience is on one dashboard. So you're not bouncing around between 50 different places in the SIS trying to get anything done. You're not copying and pasting student IDs around trying to get certain pages to load correctly and so on. All of this enables us to have absolutely game-changing analytics. We like to say speed is a feature. We run multiple audits a second, which means we can do analytics like program completion reports, scheduling reports, ad hoc reports, custom reports that no other system can even contemplate. And as you're going to see, every one of our analytics is an instant API. So you simply generate a data set, and that is your API call. And then the way we have approached policy management is truly revolutionary. Whereas other systems, and you're familiar with this in Anthology, they make a hard bifurcation between tuition and fees, and academic policies are a totally different beast. Whereas we have come up with one policy manager in which tuition, fees, and academic policies are all together. So for example, you can have policies in which if students get to a certain tuition threshold, then a particular fee goes completely away. Or maybe if they register for a certain number of courses in a particular program, a particular fee is added on. And so because we make tuition fees and academic policies all effectively the same policy management process, you can have tremendous interactivity between these different types of what we're just going to call policies. That also means that we can eliminate most of what you now manually do with holds, where you're putting holds on and you're taking holds off. Because of the way we can criteriize academic policies, we can make the vast majority of that workflow completely automated for you. Next, Joel. Yeah, so this is a quote from Teresa Bosworth, who's our VP of Student Services at Blue Mountain Community College, if I could speak. She actually was one of our fundamental design partners in coming up with Focal. And I'd encourage you to reach out to BMCC if you wish. Just cold call them and just say, really, seriously, what has your experience been? They've been live on Focal now for almost 2 years. Have gone through one entire academic cycle now, 1098T reporting, all the institutional reporting. I will dare say they absolutely love it. And I think this quote really encapsulates it. Next. Yep, so demo time. I am going to start sharing and we'll actually take a look at the thing. So you're seeing the Focal dashboarding at this point, and Joel or Paul, let me know if for any reason you're not seeing this.
We're all good, Richard.
We're all good? Okay. So I know that Paul is fielding questions, and I actually encourage Paul to jump in and ask questions as we go, but we are going to have a Q&A period at the end. And Paul, you're going to give me time countdowns, right? So, because otherwise I'll just get carried away and spend the next 4 hours talking about this. So everything, as I said, is a dashboard-based UI, and all of these dashboard widgets are, not only are the widgets customizable, but the layouts are completely customizable. And so we will work with you during implementation to actually arrange each of your user role dashboards to be exactly what you want them to be. It's a very common layout, and indeed among the different user roles that I can show as we demo, you're going to see a similar kind of layout where typically you have a student focus. We're looking at Courtney Logan right now, and this is Courtney Logan's academic goal. In our degree audit system, which is the core of Focal, an academic goal is just an abstraction. It's just any way you allow programs to be put together in any kind of configuration to produce a particular program pathway for a student to graduate. And so you can have declared goals, students can do what if scenarios, In the interest of time, I'm not going to go into everything that's possible, but I do want to go straight into the registration process to show you how fundamental the degree audit is to the student experience. I'm going to do this as provider precisely because I want to show you a bunch of functionality simultaneously, but I will call out different things about the UI for students. For example, students are not going to have all the capabilities that I'm going to show you. And obviously we can do a lot more in-depth demos for you individually and really get into the weeds.
Richard, there's a question.
Yes.
Somebody wants to know if goals can be majors, minors, or competencies.
Any of the above and all of the above. So yes, when I say that a goal can be sort of Lego blocking together any imaginable programs, we support an unlimited number of program types. So majors, minors, certifications, pathways, anything you can dream up that is a sort of containerization of, for example, zip codes. We can represent those. And then any number of programs of a type can constitute a goal. So for example, we serve a school that requires students to double major. So every one of their goals will show 2 majors. They just insist that students have Lego block together 2 majors as part of their goal. Then students could add on a minor or certification program and so forth. So again, for us, a goal is just a pure abstraction, a way that a student is attempting to achieve some program pathway that you award. So I want to pause for a second and be sure that that was an adequate answer. Any feedback on that?
They'll ask if there's a question. We'll let you know.
Good, good. All right. So I'm going to actually create an audit on the basis of this particular program pathway. And one thing I'm going to emphasize throughout is that speed is a feature. It enables Focal to do things that other systems literally can't contemplate. And you're going to see that really significantly during the planning and then registration process. So I want to scroll down a bit here and note that spring registration is open. So a student can right now start planning for and registering for this spring term. Now, this is our demo system, so we're now about a term in arrears, but you'll get the idea. So we can do this 2 different ways. I could literally down here just say, I'm going to start planning classes, or what is traditionally the way students love to do it, and the feedback we're getting from students is spectacular. They absolutely love this approach. We simply create an audit. And that's the audit run. And you can see it's effectively instantaneous. So what that means is now it is showing the student. So you have all this header information, but you can hide that with a click. So you have a little more screen real estate. And it's going to show the student everything that they need to do to complete this particular degree. There is a clickable, tappable interface over here to the right where students can click and zoom around within the audit. And that's going to enable them to see what they need to do at any portion of their program pathway. And so traditionally what students are going to say is, okay, well, I need to take something to satisfy communication. So all of these nodes are clickable or tappable. So I can click right here and say, well, I'd like to plan classes here. And at this point, it just ran an audit. So again, I say speed is a feature because what it is doing is finding a curated list for this particular student. This is not just saying, here's a bunch of comm courses you could take. It's contemplating the entire state of affairs for this particular student based on this particular student's audit to say, these are classes that absolutely will be degree applicable for you. Now, immediately that opens up 2 significant features. One, your financial aid office now has a much easier row to hoe because most of what financial aid offices tell us their major pain point is that they're trying to close barn doors after the horses have escaped. So you've got students registering for classes that for that student is not going to be a degree applicable class. But then that often means rolling back aid for that class in a subsequent term, which fin aid departments hate doing and students hate finding out about. Well, our system now, because of instantaneous degree audits, eliminates that pain point because every one of the classes listed here are guaranteed to, for this particular student, satisfy this particular degree requirement. And so if I actually say, well, I'm going to add this class, I'm going to actually take this class, maybe I could audit it, but I'm going to actually take it. I'm going to make it degree applicable. This just ran an audit. And so now we're seeing this class actually applying toward this communication requirement, and you can now see that that communication requirement is satisfied. We have a checkbox. And at this point, we could view the schedule and we can see what our weekly schedule is starting to shape up like based on these planning activities that we're doing. I can also go down and do various filtration. I can say, show me anything in these particular categories of classwork, or I don't want to do a start time earlier than 11 a.m. I'm up all night gaming, so I don't want to show up before 11, or I only want to take Tuesday, Thursday coursework, or that sort of thing. So we can, and by the way, this filtration is all customizable. So as you have different filtration types, we can just add that to this sidebar and thereby make it the case that students can see whatever filtration you have. Now,
Richard, there's a question.
Yep.
Is there a limit to the number of audits that can be done in a certain day?
Not at all. We log all audits and we save the audits, but we don't charge you by the audit. There is no sort of penalization for usage at all. So yeah, run as many as you want. So at this point, we can actually see the whole audit right in this dropdown if we want to. And so the student could say, all right, well, I know I've got to take some math classes, so let me click on math. It's running an audit right now. It's contemplating everything about the state of the system for this second for this student and saying, all right, well, here are your possibilities. Again, it's not just throwing up a course list and saying, you could do any of this stuff. It's actually saying what for you is going to be applicable to this math requirement. And so the student could say, all right, well, this one looks good to me, so I'll add that. It's running another audit. And so every act of planning is running an audit. And you can see how now this is showing a taken requirement. And again, we can say view schedule, and we're starting to see how our weekly schedule is shaping up. So I think I've shown enough to point out the idea of how you literally plan the classwork that you're going to take going forward. Here is a really important point at the top left here. And this is a little button that you may expose to your students. You may allow them to take out-of-band classes that are not going to be degree applicable. Many schools say, no, we're not even going to let students see that as a possibility. If they're degree seeking, we're going to keep them between the guardrails. But maybe advisors are allowed to have this area. If for any reason you unselect this, it's running a new audit, and now it's showing every single thing you offer. And so you can have this functionality available for non-degree seeking students, maybe your continuing and community ed students, that sort of thing. Or for your degree seeking students, you may still allow them to take out of band classes. All of this text here is customizable, which is to say, right now it's just warning students that if you take classes now, you're not between any guardrails, and so they may not be degree applicable, they may not be eligible for financial aid. But as soon as we click this button, we put the guardrails back on, and then at this point, everything we're seeing is guaranteed by a real-time audit to be degree applicable. So at this point, I can go back to view audit, and it's going to actually show me, and by the way, you can have this header collapsed by default or expanded by default. That's just a setting. And so notice that we're seeing, for example, here is that planned class. And if the student successfully completes it, it is going to satisfy that communication requirement. So if I now go back to the top, let's go back to the dashboard. And now we're seeing that our My Classes widget here is showing that I have these planned classes. I haven't registered for them yet. If I click register at this point, something almost miraculous is going to happen. And so I'm going to call it out in advance. we are about to run what we call a policy audit. And so it is going to, well, first of all, the entire active planning is contemplating, as I said, everything about the state of the system, but that's including prereqs, co-reqs, holds, all that sort of stuff is part of the guardrails. But when I click register, it is going to actually run a policy audit and do a final double check of everything about this active registration. And so this is going to produce what we call our pre-flight page. This now shows that the student can actually register for this coursework. Now, if the student had some kind of hold or an unmet prereq, then that would appear in a little banner area up here. Users with the permission to do so, like let's say a registrar, could actually override. They would then see that this is, as it is right now, a clickable button, whereas a student would not be able to confirm and register and would be notified of exactly why they're not able to register for that classwork. If somebody with the permission actually does confirm and register, it's going to pop up a little dialogue saying, you are now overriding such and such a policy or such and such a hold. This event will be logged. Are you sure you want to do this? And then if that user says yes, that all will be logged. So every registration event, who did what, is all logged. So I'm going to confirm and register, and notice it has calculated up all the tuition and fees for this registration event and is showing the student what that is going to tally up to. So the student says, yeah, I'm going to confirm and register. And that's it. Registration is successful. And now the student is able to see that classwork pop in immediately into the ledger and showing exactly what that Math 105Z class is costing. And in this case, it's $597. So if the student clicks this, the student can see everything that went into those charges. Now, a quick point that I want to make here for the student financials folks is that our approach to student financials is that transactions are immutable. Now, if you're an Anthology customer, you're familiar with the pain that emerges from mutable transactions and the whole idea of adjustments. We don't do any of that kind of thing. Every single tiny 1 cent charge of any sort is its own transaction. And there is no manipulating a transaction in any way. So if you want to undo all of these, which I'm going to show here in just a second, that is going to produce undoing transactions. So if I actually look at my enrolled classes here, I'm in the add drop period at this point, and so I can unregister for these and get full credit back, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, obviously, users with the permission would have additional capabilities. They could, for example, withdraw a student at any time. They can unregister a student at any time, regardless of the add drop period. There's a whole slate of permissions surrounding who can do what about registration events and in what time frames. But I'm going to just unregister the student from both of these classes just to show what happens. So notice that we just reran a policy audit and updated the student ledger. So we're going to unregister from this one as well. We just reran a policy audit and we're updating the student ledger. Now notice that this Math 105Z has a 0 balance. And at this point, if I can get over, I can't get over there to click it. Yeah, loving this.
Zoom
Yeah,
issue.
got it. So now notice that those reversing transactions are all in place. And notice that we actually got a student services fee that got applied across the entire registration event. And because we unregistered from all classes, it actually reversed even that student services fee that was not particularly a part of any certain class. It was just an overarching session level fee that got charged and it got reversed with a full withdrawal. So I think you're seeing very clearly how the degree audit now is indeed central to the entire student experience. and our policy audit is central to the entire student experience. So I want to pause for just a sec, and Paul, please give me a time check. I'm going to tie into our policy manager next.
9:03, I think we're doing well. Just a reminder to get to analytics.
Yep. Very, very good. Thank you.
There's actually a question. You can cover this later if you want to, but the question is, the widgets are nifty. Are we able to create our own widgets?
Yes. Well, you know what? Let's not do the policy manager quite yet. I'm going to jump to analytics because, yeah, the way we handle analytics and widgets is super slick. So this right here, this Command Your Career widget is actually a custom widget we developed for Louisiana State University School. They do micro-credentialing for Explore, Develop, Experience, and Arrive. And this is actually their approach to that micro-credentialing display, where they fill in these stars as students engage in each of these different milestones. So I'm going to show you exactly how we created this little widget, which will open your eyes to how you can create your own widgets, and we will happily create custom reports and widgets for you as well. So if we open this up to, let's go to reporting here. Basically, Focal is a superset of our advisor degree audit system, which is why the underlying code base is exactly the same. And you're actually seeing the exact same functionality here. So this is that Command Your Career report, but a report for us also can just instantly become a widget. So all we're doing to generate that widget is for the student who is in focus, this auth focus ID, we are getting all the milestone data. And then under the hood, we use the Vue.js framework. And so for your IT folks, they will immediately recognize that. It is the industry leading JavaScript framework at this point. And it divvies things up into template, script, and style. And so there is a bit of coding. You can see there isn't much. And you're basically just filling in this star section and producing a web link on the star. Basically, anything you can do in HTML5 and JavaScript can be done using this framework. And so that means it doesn't have to be looking like a box. It could be a flower with petals that you can click on. It could be anything you can dream up that you can do in HTML5 and JavaScript can be a widget and dropped out onto the dashboard. And so we heavily document both our data model reference and our internal APIs that we support. And we guarantee that if you stay within our supported APIs, none of our updates will ever break any of your custom reports and widgets. So that is our commitment to you. Now, back to this query. You can produce any imaginable data set, obviously, with this query. But what I want to call your attention to is up here in this URL line, notice that that has a report ID of 4. The very act of creating this report in the first place gives it an ID. It is an instant API call. You don't have to do anything additional for this to become an API call. So anything that you can do in the way of a query into the system instantly becomes an API, and that data set is accessible to be called by any third-party system.
Question, Richard.
Yeah.
So for the non-technical people in the room, can you explain what we can do with an API call here?
Yeah, sure. So as an example, so Stanford University actually does an API call in which they pass us grade changes throughout the day. We take that payload of students that are affected. We run audits on all of those students. Again, speed is a feature. We pass that audit data back as a JSON payload to that call. They populate their data lake with that. That is a quick round trip in real time that is enabled because of our speed. You could have, for example, your Salesforce system actually call a particular data set and pull all student data, regarding any way you wanted to set that cohort up. It's any time that you want to, in automated fashion, extract data out of the system, you do that with API calls. So we do standard RESTful APIs, and that report ID is how you would reference the particular data set.
Yeah, so if I understand it correctly, this is just a way of taking the data that's been generated in Advisor and immediately in real time syncing it with whatever system you want to send it to.
Yes, exactly. And again, because everything is so ridiculously fast, you're getting data out of this system just immediately.
Yeah.
If I switch over from our custom reports to our ad hoc reports, for example, there is the custom report of Command Your Career, but I can create a new report here. Just call it something like whatever. I think I have a whatever out there actually. And already this is a report. And you can see it has a report ID up here of 151. Now it doesn't have any data in it, but it's already a report that you could call with an API. And I can just start adding data. You can see we have a vast array of data sets here. This is all really well documented, by the way. So I can scroll down here to, for example, the student data, and I could say, well, I want to add first name, and notice 46,747 students immediately appear. Apparently we're right on the edge of the breakpoint. So this little window, it's a responsive application. So it's paying attention to exactly where windows are located on the screen. If I click last name, it instantly reruns the report. And at this point, I could start tying into additional data sets. So I could say, well, I'm really interested in all these different things, but I'm particularly interested in goal summary, because I want to look at students who are, let's say, how close they are to completion, thought of in terms of credits. So I click % complete credits. We've just done a join. You don't have to know anything about SQL or backend joins or anything. And now this is already a useful report. We now know how close all these different students are to graduating. But I could zero in on this. I could say, well, I want to look at goal summary. Again, I want to look at this % complete credits. I could choose anything else, but in this case, I'm wanting to go straight at that. And now I'm looking for greater than or equal to, let's say, 90%. And I can do a prompt here, and I'll show you in a second what that does. So as soon as I click save, it is going to immediately narrow that result set down to just the 796 students that are that close to graduating. We could get into goal name and on and on and on. But notice that when I said prompt, that actually created a little prompt here. And so now I can change that to be like 95%, hit enter. It's going to immediately reduce that result set. That prompt is now promptable by my API call. And so by simply adding a prompt in my ad hoc report like that, not only do I have a callable data set, but I can, in the API call itself, add whatever I want, 95, 98, 92, as my calling % complete credits, and my result set is going to correctly reflect that. So for us, APIs are just instant. You just create whatever data set you're interested in, and at that point, you get that data set back with the API call. We can also directly download this data set into all of these formats. And then finally, we've got some really cool canned reports. So if, for example, we look at canned reports in batches, one thing that schools really love is our program completion report. They also love our scheduling report. Let me click on this. This is actually producing a weighted ranking of all of the classwork that students need to take. And so here is a new nursing cohort in which there are 67 students that need to take this Nursing 298. The weighting is actually a quite complicated algorithm that has to do with how useful or necessary a particular course is to a particular student. So it's contemplating prereqs, co-reqs, double dipping. Like if one course could apply and satisfy 2 requirements, that gets higher weight than a similar course that would satisfy requirement A, but not also requirement B. And so it's contemplating literally how useful a class is to the student. But in this case, whenever you see a one-to-one weighting with students needing, that signifies that you have a required course. The student cannot get through without taking this class. And so these are your highest value classes because these are the ones you have to offer to get these students through. If I click on this, it will open up and show all of those students as well as what academic goal they are in. So that is our really super quick overview of some analytics capabilities. Obviously, we could do a whole demo surrounding just analytics, but that's giving you an idea of how powerful the analytics are and how ultimately you can create these custom widgets and plop them out on your dashboard.
Richard, there's
So
a
Richard,
question.
sorry, Joel, we've just got about 10 minutes left to reserve a little bit of time for questions at the end.
Okay.
There's a question about implementation. So there's a question about how long it takes to implement, how painful it is, and what
Yes.
it looks like integrating with Anthology.
So because we actually develop Focal in response to Anthology needs, we have a particularly short implementation cycle. For example, we know the Anthology data sets down, which means we have a migration process script that is already written specifically for Anthology customers. And I'm sure you're familiar in your Anthology implementation with the notion of spins. And the game that's played is they bring in a bunch of your data, and then they tell you, and you're contractually obligated to test something like 80% of that data. And so it's this spin, test cycle. No one has time in their life for all the testing. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows no one is ever going to get over the 80% threshold. That's why I think intentionally pejoratively refer to it as a game, because everybody knows you're never going to get that 80% testing threshold. So your data is largely untested. You know it. Anthology knows it. We don't play the spin game at all. Our approach is what we call syncing. Once we connect up to your Anthology system, we just begin pulling that data over in real time. And so we will set up, for example, a 5-minute sync on all your student transactions, which means that you're able to actually look at your Focal system alongside your Anthology system, continue doing all your business in Anthology just as you expect to do it. But you can in real time look over at the Focal system and see how those activities are being represented in Focal simultaneously. So your testing becomes this organic while we're training you, while we're implementing you, while we're verifying, for example, that your bill codes and fund sources are set up correctly, and we maybe do some test registrations in the Focal system, but we're slowly migrating you into actually using Focal while syncing data with Anthology. And so it becomes this really easy, organic process in which it's not spin, test. You're just seeing Focal becoming the data set in Anthology. And so there will come a weekend in which we say, we're totally confident in this system. Maybe we've even done a complete registration event with a test body of students, and we're completely confident in the outcomes we got. There will come a weekend in which we'll roll everything back to bear. We'll do one final sync of everything from Anthology. That's the blackout weekend. No more transactions happen in Anthology. Monday morning, you're live on Focal. But because of the way we handle this, it is the least painful process. There's no painless SIS process, but you will find this as close to painless as possible. And moreover, we can do that in 3 to 6 months. So I know you're thinking immediately, no way is it a 6-month SIS implementation. It is. I don't
That's
sell
what
books.
that's what we've experienced so far. The question, so following on that, can you talk about a little bit about our approach to training?
So as I said, training is very organic, because what's going to happen is, as we're actually bringing that anthology data in, we're going to be starting to talk with individual departments. I single Stu Finn out here for special attention, because obviously the student financials part of the system is so mission critical to everything being right in the system. So we'll start reviewing the way bill codes and fund sources are represented in Focal. And your institutional reporting is ultimately going to fall out of that. 1098-T processing is going to fall out of that. And so what we'll do is start testing alongside you, training as we do it. So we're literally saying, here's what this checkbox means and the implication it has for 1098-T. So let's take this student, for example. Let's run a batch of 1098-Ts on a set of students, and we'll change on a bill code or a fund source this particular checkbox. And now look at the effect that has on the 1098-T box, call it box 6. So at that point, you're going to be seeing the juxtapositions between particular settings in Focal and the product of it, like the 1098-T output. So that is how we're going to deal with each one of the roles on campus. Is as we're implementing Focal, we'll be doing data validation, setting up dashboards, and in that process, working so closely with you in the implementation that the training is just an organic part of us actually bringing the system up.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've
Question about
observed. Oh, sorry, Joel. I was just going to make a comment briefly that's one of the things that I've observed that's different from my experience in student information systems, which is implementation sort of happens on the back end,
Yep.
right? And then there's this massive training effort that follows on the front end. But because you've got people that are doing the day-to-day work involved in the implementation, the front end is actually where you set everything up. So
Yes.
as they go through that process, they're already familiar with all the tools that they would need to use the system on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, exactly. Another classic example of this is academic SAP and FinAid SAP. So every school shares some sort of basic metrics about how they think of academic SAP. But there's actually a lot of variation between schools. And so one of the, I think, huge design differences between Focal and all other systems out there is that they're developed by programmers who are thinking things like, they're thinking in terms of data manipulation. We thought entirely in terms of process. And so what we realized early on in the design partnership with BMCC was that they tend to hard code things into the SIS that then become extremely rigid and fragile. And so we said, wait a minute, there are clear, bright lines to be drawn between basic things that have to happen, like accounting aspects of the system. That's just industry standard. You can hard code that stuff. It always works the same way. But even at fairly low levels of thinking, you get into things like academic SAP, where that's very different across schools. That should not be hard coded into the actual code base. And so what we do is, using custom reports, we will work with you to develop exactly how you want academic SAP to be represented. And I can tell you that for two of our Focal schools right now, they've both told us that academic SAP has gone from about a 10-day process to a 10-minute process, because we've
Wow.
turned it into literally, it's one widget. The system figures out and shows a drop down for every student what their calculated academic SAP should be for this term. But you can change that drop down and override it. So you might say, well, the system is saying for this student that now they're off probation, but I'm going to keep them on probation one more term. And so you can just scroll down your list of students and say, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. System calculates it all right. I look down and I say, yeah, they're all right. Submit. Boom. Academic SAP is set for that term. But notice that that's a custom widget. We're going to do that for you as part of implementation, and that's part of training. So again, as we're bringing up your front end, as we're making your dashboards for every role be what they should be for your desired approach to processes, you're going to find that you're well trained into how the system works in the very act of implementing with us.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you.
How will you integrate with current Kuali products?
So Build particularly, we have extremely robust workflows on our back end. Build has extremely robust institutional workflows. Our workflows talk to Kuali workflows and vice versa. Curriculum management, so obviously your courses, programs, we're still working that out. As you know, Joel, we're still working. I mean, we're basically new, joined into Kuali. It's been about 6 months at this point. So we are working out more integrations between curriculum management and our rules engine. So integrating with third-party systems, like we have drop-in integrations with LMSs, FinAid processors, HR, institutional finance. Obviously, we integrate with Kuali's institutional finance, payment processors, Transact for payment plans. The litany goes on and on. So integrations are actually, I know this sounds trivial, but it's really not. Integrations are trivial. With modern APIs, integrations are very, very fast. So that is not the big hurdle to get over.
All right. Just quick time check, Richard. We have a few slides to close out at the very end here. So I'd say final points you want to make in the demo, and then we'll turn things back over to Joel.
Let me, because I would be remiss if I didn't show this, let's at least take a quick glance at our policies manager. So here is where you set up all of your course templates. Here's where you set up your academic years, your various terms, your sessions within terms. You can have an unlimited number of sessions within a given term. So you could have multiple summer sessions, or you could have a dedicated dual credit high school session, or any of that kind of thing that you want to do. So here for winter, this is going to show the sections that you're offering in that. And you simply click the add button to peel off a course template into a new section. For any of these terms and sessions, you can set all your important dates. And then these can all be overridden at the section level. I mean, again, we could do a whole demo just on the way we handle, as I said, tuition, fees, and academic policies. Those can be set up at the institution level. They can be set up at the year level, the term level, the session level, even at the section level. So if I don't know if we've got policies set up in here. Let's take a look. It looks like we don't have any section level policies in the demo system. But that is where you would actually have the trickle down of everything that is affecting registration events, for example, all the way down to the section level. So it is a really clean, robust, easy to use approach to all of your academic and financials policies. So I think that's about all we've got time to show. Obviously, if we do individual demos with you, which we're happy to do as many as you want, we can drill into all the nuts and bolts, and you can see how we've implemented the various aspects of all that configuration that goes into a SIS.
All right.
So just a little bit about our customer success. We're known for our customer success. If you talk to most any Kuali customer and conclusive customer before that, they'll let you know that we're very, very responsive in support. Our goal is to make you successful. Most of the employees that have worked on these systems have worked in higher ed in the past, realize what it's like, and we want to make sure that you're very successful. Next slide.
That's me. Next slide.
Just a couple quotes. The Focal team is like family. They never treated us like a customer. They worked beside us. Every conversation was about solving problems together and making the product stronger for everyone. And then from Cindy, Kuali provides excellent support. They respond very quickly and are very knowledgeable. And again, I think if you talk to any of our customers, you'll hear that.
Yep.
Next slide. And this
Oops, sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
just a reminder, the Focal Student Information System degree audit is the heart, and that's as every SIS should be. We have custom dashboards and widgets. Our analogs, our analytics, and our APRs are truly game changing, and our policy management engine draws things so that you have unified fees, tuition, and academic policies. It is the engine of what we do. And we're designed for the future of higher education. We hope you'll talk to us further. We will be reaching out just to see if how we can help you and answer any questions. We're very much grateful for you taking the time to be with us live or to watch this video afterward.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's just about it. If you've got your phone handy, grab it real quick, scan this QR code. It'll bring up a simple form. Just drop your name and email in there, and we'll have your account executive connect with you. This was a quick, very high level, fast-paced presentation of Kuali Focal. You know, a student information system, we think of it as being a big, massive things. In a lot of ways it is. There's a lot of questions, specific things that you're going to want to take a look at. So we're more than happy to arrange a deeper dive demo and really get into it with you at, yeah, when you're ready. And with that, thank you, everyone. This was fun. A lot of build up for this one. Amazing turnout, and we're just extremely grateful for your time and really excited for what's next. So that will do it. We'll do it. All right. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.